Today I'm going to be talking about the dopaminergic synergistic effects that cocaine and methylphenidate can have when used with nicotine. So for background information, nicotine, cocaine, and methylphenidate, which is an ADHD medication, are all dopaminergic drugs, meaning that they all interact with the brain's levels of dopamine. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter in the brain, and it's often associated with addiction, so it's called the rewards neurotransmitter. And a neurotransmitter is just chemicals in the brain that send signals from one neuron to the other. When neurotransmitters are released, there's often an excess of them in the synaptic cleft, which is the space between the sending neuron and the receiving neuron. To get rid of the excess of neurotransmitters, something called reuptake happens, where the neuron that's sending these signals reabsorbs the neurotransmitters. In the diagram here, the dopamine binds to the dopamine receptors on the receiving neuron, and then a signal is sent. However, certain drugs can block the reuptake of dopamine, which leaves excess dopamine in the synaptic cleft, and this excess dopamine can still bind to the dopamine receptors, which sends extra reward signals in the brain. And this is why some drugs such as nicotine and cocaine and methylphenidate can be addictive. In this experiment, rats were tested with the three drugs individually. The cocaine and the methylphenidate were given at a lower dose and a higher dose, and the level of nicotine stayed the same. And then a different group of rats were given a combination of the nicotine and cocaine or methylphenidate at the lower or higher doses. As a result, the scientists found that the nicotine and the higher amounts of cocaine or methylphenidate have a synergistic effect on dopamine levels. This means that their combined effects are greater than the effects of them individually added up. As shown in the graph, the combination of nicotine and the higher level of cocaine caused the dopamine levels of the rats to rise at about 1,000%. And the combination of nicotine and the higher dose of methylphenidate caused the dopamine levels in the rats to rise at about 1,400%. The results show that smoking can start patterns of cocaine abuse because in another study it was found that cocaine can also increase serotonin levels, which is a mood-stabilizing neurotransmitter. And methylphenidate can cause smoking to be more pleasurable, which can cause a nicotine dependence in people who use methylphenidate.